Hey everybody, on this episode of Outside the Softbox, we're going to talk about how to get your feet a little wet and establish your X Factor. I'm Sal Cincotta, and on this episode, yes, we are in a river, and those of you who do know me know I don't like water at all, yet I sit here in the water. So these guys here on Framed made me get in the water and risk my life. So I am scared for my life, and I want you guys to send me postcards and get well soon cards after the traumatic experience I've had. So anyway, that being said, today what we're going to talk about is how to establish your X Factor. And you know, that term you might hear thrown around a lot, but here's what, in a nutshell, what you're trying to do. Think about it. Everybody's always complaining about those shooting burners that are out there, right? Oh, shooting burners are killing my market. You know, my market's saturated. Everybody's a photographer. Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. Everyone is a photographer today. There is no industry like ours where there's absolutely zero barrier to entry. So anyone can go into a box store today, pick up any camera with a kit lens, and call themselves a professional. So think about it. If you are running your business correctly, is it really that easy for somebody to come in and steal your market share? If it is, I blame you. I blame me, okay? Because we're making it too easy for those other photographers to come in and steal our market share. And so that's where establishing your X Factor, your value proposition, that's where it comes into play. If you've got a huge value proposition, then your clients are not going to gravitate towards that shooting burner, right? They're going to want to work with you because you stand out from the crowd. And it can be the little things you do or the big things you do. And so let's talk about that. What is your unique value proposition? What are you doing to separate yourself from the competition? If you think you're competing on pictures, you know, I meet with a lot of photographers all over and they're like, oh, Sal, you know, my images are better. And what I do is I show my clients a good image and then I show them a bad image. A good image, a bad image. Yeah, guess what? Nobody cares. Let alone the brides. The brides don't care. They don't know the difference between a good image and a bad image. It's good enough. And that's the battle we're fighting every day, is understanding the difference between a great image and just an average image. But that's not what we are going to compete on. We will not compete with our brides on a good image versus bad image. Ultimately, it's good enough. Okay, and the New York Times ran an article not too long ago talking about that digital technology today is so good that your uncle could shoot your wedding. This is a true story. This was run by the New York Times. That's horrifying that the New York Times is now determining for us what makes a good photographer. So again, that comes back on us. We need to educate our brides, and we need to educate them in a way that matters to them. And so I've come to the realization that competing on imagery, while imagery is important, while the art of what we do is very important, it's only as good as the bride thinks it is. So what I've decided to do with my business is find ways to separate my business from the competition in ways that resonate with the bride. So let's just start talking about that. Let's talk about the experience. And so if you think about the experience that your clients have with your studio, that is a big part of your X Factor. So the overall customer experience, and we're going to have another episode where we drill into what that customer experience should be, but the overall customer experience that your clients have with your studio, that is in fact your X Factor. That's what separates you from the pack. How quickly are you returning phone calls? How quickly are you showing clients images? Those are the simple things that will establish your X Factor, your point of differentiation. All right, let's talk about something else that can create some separation for you. The types of products and services you offer. If you're offering products and services that the client doesn't see value in, you're going to have trouble separating yourself. And so what we've realized is we offer high-end products, canvas, high-end wedding albums. That's the big differentiator for us. So think about this. You could get an album. Clients today think they can get an album on, on many websites that are out there. They think they can get those, and do it themselves for $49. So how can you try and sell your wedding packages for $3,000, $4,000 when they think they can get that same album for $39? Well, you know how we do it? We offer albums that we know they can't get their hands on. And they're not just high quality in the material they're made out of. Maybe they're a metal cover or an acrylic cover or a special leather insert. The album manufacturers today offer a host of options for your wedding albums. Wedding albums are the #1 differentiator for us in our business. It's the one thing that when a bride walks up to our booth at a bridal show, she will put her hands on that and realize she's never seen anything like that. And when I'm in a bridal show with 38 to 45 photographers there, that's what I need to separate myself. And so what do our albums look like? Not only are they high quality, they're huge. So we're not offering 8x8 or 10x10 albums. We may have that as an option, but the albums we show that wow our clients are impactful, right? So just like we're gonna have big prints that we're trying to sell our clients and big canvas, we're also gonna have monster albums. So a typical album size for us is 12x18. Think about it. This thing is this big, and when you open that up, it's 36 inches across, 3 feet across. You wanna wow your clients, show them a 3-foot album, okay? So when they're sitting there and they're flipping through this thing and they're seeing crystal clear, tack sharp images that have been beautifully edited, beautifully presented, that's our wow factor. That's the way we're separating ourselves. And I'm telling you, if you're not showing clients your wedding albums today, if you're not showing it to them, you are gonna struggle separating yourself from the pack. Another thing you can easily do to again, create separation and establish your X factor, customer service. Sounds like a no-brainer, but there's so many studios that are missing the boat on customer service. What is good customer service? Let's step back for a second. A great book to read to establish customer service is called The Starbucks Experience. And so I want you guys to go online, I want you to pick up this book, and I want you to read it. It's a real easy read. And I want you to think about it from this perspective, because you might go, Sal, what the hell does photography have to do with coffee? Everything. Think about coffee. We are willing to overpay for a cup of coffee by 5 to 10 times what we can get it for making it at home or get it for at a different store altogether, right? We're willing to pay that. So this book explores why people are willing to pay so much more money for a cup of coffee. Because you know what? They're not selling coffee at Starbucks. You know what they're selling? An experience. And once you buy into the fact that they're selling that experience, things start changing about the way you think about your business. And so I want you to go read this book, but let me point out some things that the Starbucks employees are trained to do. They are trained to learn your name. You ever notice if you go to a Starbucks all the time, suddenly they know who you are? Suddenly they know what kind of cup of coffee you're about to order. Tell me that you don't love that. I love it. I love the way that makes me feel. When I walk into a Starbucks, I feel like I'm walking into my home. They make me feel at home, not only from the furniture and decor, but the smells, the noise in there, and the way they greet me when I walk up to that counter, okay? They pay attention to those little details. That is customer service, and it creates a fanatical fan base for your brand, your products, your services. Again, it's not just answering the phone in a timely fashion. It's not just returning emails in a timely fashion. Of course those things are important, but you gotta take it to the next level. You gotta push it. And it's those kinds of things that really go a long way. So pick up that book. That's an easy one. The next thing that you can do to easily, and maybe this isn't that easy, this is usually scary for photographers, turnaround time. In our industry, we are continuously hammered because we take too long to turn things around. And so what I do is we outsource our post-production work. And I know it sounds like a 4-letter word, but it's not, okay? Because here's what I've realized. I'm a photographer, I'm a business person, and lastly, I'm an editor. I'm not making money when I'm sitting at a computer obsessing about my images. And I think all of you out there can relate to that, right? We don't think we hoard our images. No one can do a better job than me. I know my images better than anybody else. Well, I got news for you. That stuff is monkey work. And so what you need to be able to do is let go of that stuff, especially the heavy lifting. And so a typical wedding for us, we'll shoot 3,000 to 4,000 images at that wedding. And so what'll end up happening there is we outsource those. Those will come back with my top 1,500 selected. So there's nothing glamorous about taking 4,000 images down to 1,500. There's nothing glamorous about white balancing and color correcting 1,500 images. That's not the artwork of what we do. So instead, when those images come back, they're fully edited. What I do is I take about 30 minutes or 40 minutes of time, and then I fully process my top 20 images. These become known as my photographer select. These are the images that we're using and presenting to clients as artwork for their home. Now, I've met my clients' expectations, turned around those images in 2 to 3 weeks because I'm letting someone else do the heavy lifting, but I'm still not losing touch with my images. Don't get me wrong. I love editing, all right? I find it to be a stress reliever and things of that nature, but I don't want to sit there and obsess about 4,000 images. For us, it was taking us about 10 to 12 hours to process a wedding. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time I could be marketing. That's a lot of time I can be shooting other events. And so instead, what we're doing is we now will just spend 30, 40 minutes and process our top images and create artwork for our clients. Yet another way Not only is the turning it around in 2 to 3 weeks a way of separating ourselves, but creating pieces of art for the client is another way of separating ourselves. Another easy way to create some separation for yourself is to let your personality and energy come through. I mean, that's the one thing we bring to the table. So at our studio, I know that my personality and energy level are a huge competitive advantage for me. Think about it. Who wants to work with a photographer who's just kind of bitter on the whole wedding scene? And I know a lot of you out there are just like, I hate weddings. If you hate weddings, don't do weddings. All right, if you hate working with little kids, don't work with little kids. You've got to be excited about what you're doing and bringing to the table. Again, if you want to create a difference between you and that shoot and burner, this is an easy one. And so when I'm meeting with brides, I plant seeds. And I know I'm doing this, right? So what I say to them is, I wrap up that meeting and I say, guys, and I'm being sincere with it, right? That's what I want you to understand. I say, guys, here's 2 things you should probably consider when selecting a photographer. One is going to be their style of photography. That's why you met, that's what drew you into our brand. But the second thing, which a lot of people don't think about, is our personality and energy. Think about it. You're going to be with us for 10 to 12 hours that day. And I look right at the groom and I go, dude, I'm a guy's guy. I'm going to be with you all day. We're going to have a good time. I'm not going to make you do anything cheesy. And, you know, we're going to go from there. Why am I doing that? Because I know that when they go meet with other photographers, I've now planted this seed in the groom's head. And if they go meet with one of those photographers who's like, yeah, we're going to take pictures and we're going to do cool things and we're going to, the groom is going to be like, oh my God, I can't be with this guy all day, right? And I'm using that to my advantage. And maybe you're looking at me and you're going, dude, Sal, I'm not that crazy New Yorker type. I'm not going to be able to do that stuff. That's awesome. Use that to your advantage, right? So instead, keep in mind, my wife's the opposite personality of me. She's very shy, she's very quiet, but use that to your advantage. What you would say to your clients is, you know, guys, what you want to consider is the personality of your photographer. I'm not one of those loud, obnoxious photographers who's going to steal the show. I'm here to document your day, and I'm going to be off in a corner and just let your day unfold. Either way, you're using that to your competitive advantage. It's just being aware of that it's an advantage for you, and playing it, you know, it's a PR thing. So you've got to do that kind of stuff. One of the last things you can do to separate yourself from the competition is great imagery, of course, right? But great imagery goes beyond being able to create proper exposure, white balance, all that other stuff. That's a given. We're professionals. We have to know our craft. Great imagery to me is in the way you pose, the way you compose, and most importantly, the way you present it to the client, right? Your post-production techniques. And so you've got to spend some time not doing goofy edits, you know, on your images. And I understand you're going to go out there and you're going to buy these action sets and all that other stuff, and it's good, but you've got to get in this habit of creating a recipe, okay? Because what you don't want to have happen is you went and bought the latest set of actions, and your friend went and bought the latest set of actions, and so on, and now all of you use that action and everybody's images look the same. It's all about recipes, combining different actions to get that desired look you want, okay? But here's a bit of advice for you. Those photographers who've been out there, you know, for 5, 10, 15 years, we all run the risk of getting very comfortable in the way we pose clients. And posing is the first telltale sign of kind of an old school mentality, right? So if you're more of a traditional photographer, you're just gonna kind of take every picture with the bride and groom like that, you know, that you're gonna have a very difficult time attracting that more modern, trendy bride. She wants something a little more edgy. So guess what? Where should you go for inspiration? Never look at other photographers' work. I hardly ever look at another photographer's work. I'm picking up W magazine, fashion magazines, GQ. I'm looking to Louis Vuitton, other websites. I'm looking to music videos, the music industry. They do all sorts of cool stuff. That's where you got to find your inspiration. Why? Not because Sal says so, because your bride and grooms, that's where they're looking. That's the media they're being bombarded with. And so if you're trying to dictate trends, you're going to have a very difficult time. So watch the shows, read the magazines that your brides are reading and watching, and that's going to help you, again, present them with a product that's different from other photographers and creates your own signature look. And last but not least, while we're talking about what to do to separate yourself, this is the one thing you should not do. Do not compete on price. That is the absolute worst thing you could do with your product. Once you do that, you've created a commodity product. You guys know what a commodity product is? Toilet paper is a commodity product, okay? It's a product that there's no discernible difference between your product and product, X, Y, or Z. And so don't compete on price. You never operate from a position of desperation. Create some differentiation for your brand, and you'll be able to charge whatever you want for the weddings, seniors, babies, or whatever kind of client you're going after. You'll be able to charge whatever you want. I hope this has been extremely helpful for you. Right now, we're going to take this chair, we're going to go whitewater rafting with it, all right? So peace out, everybody.